There are secrets once thought buried forever until a single twist shocks the entire world. 3 years ago, the Nord Stream explosion cast Russia as the accused in the eyes of the West. Yet now it is Germany that has pulled back the curtain, tracing the evidence not to Moscow, but to Ukraine, in what officials say was a covert operation codenamed Operation Diameter. At the same time, Ukraine has accused its own adversaries of targeting the Druzhba pipeline, the lifeline of Central Europe. And as the crisis deepened, Donald Trump sent a mere 4-sentence letter to Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. Words so blunt, they rattled the political stage. Once portrayed by Western media as the absolute victim, Ukraine now finds itself at the center of suspicion. The question hangs heavy: is this the turning point that forces both Europe and the United States to reassess the ally they have so fervently backed? German authorities have just closed a mystery that haunted international politics for years. What Ukraine and its Western allies sought to obscure is now surfacing: direct ties to the 2022 pipeline blasts. While the world once echoed with accusations against Moscow, Berlin's findings have flipped the narrative. On June 25th, the investigative outlet Responsible Statecraft reported that German prosecutors presented evidence identifying not Russia, but Ukraine's military as the orchestrators, under the code name Operation Diameter. After years of tracing leads, German officials arrested a former Security Service SBU captain accused of commanding the Sabotaged team, a group made up of soldiers and civilian divers. This marks the first arrest in the case, seen as a breakthrough in a saga that triggered Europe's energy crisis. The investigation revealed the sabotage was no rogue act. It was a planned mission, overseen by senior Ukrainian intelligence and military officers. Some reports even cite General Valery Zaluzhny, then Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine's armed forces, as being involved. The consequences were enormous. Nord Stream 1 and 2, which once supplied about 35% of Europe's natural gas, were destroyed, unleashing global energy turmoil. Ironically, the collapse of the pipelines opened the door for the United States to expand its role as Europe's largest supplier of liquefied natural gas, making any revival of close EU-Russia energy ties almost impossible. Back in 2022, international media rushed to blame Russia, claiming Moscow had blown up its own infrastructure for leverage. Few stopped to ask why a nation would destroy assets from which it directly profited. With Germany's first arrest, the earlier narrative now looks deeply skewed, exposing Western haste and bias in assigning blame. Nord Stream is not the only scandal. Recently, Ukraine has been accused of striking another critical artery, the Druzhba oil pipeline, which feeds Hungary and Slovakia. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán publicly protested that Ukrainian drones attacked the line, further straining already tense regional relations. To global astonishment, Orbán received a handwritten reply, just 4 sentences, from none other than President Donald Trump. "Viktor, I don't like hearing this. I'm very angry about it. Please tell Slovakia, you are a great friend of mine." Orbán tied the attacks to a critical moment, just before Trump's historic summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Despite repairs, the Druzhba was hit again 2 days later, reportedly by Ukrainian drone forces led by a commander known as Madaya. Hungary, which has been supplying Ukraine with electricity and fuel, decried the attacks as deeply unfriendly. Both Budapest and Bratislava urged Brussels to intervene, warning of looming supply disruptions. Hungary's Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó was even sharper. Brussels must remember, it is the European Commission, not the Ukrainian Commission. The remarks laid bare the mounting fatigue within the EU at paying the price for Kiev's decisions. From Nord Stream to Druzhba, the broader picture is becoming clear. Ukraine is no longer viewed as the untouchable victim that Western media once portrayed. Germany's findings may be just the first step in reopening painful questions for both Europe and Washington. Trump's terse, furious letter only adds fuel to doubts. Are Ukraine's actions still legitimate self-defense, or have they crossed the line even for their closest allies? Meanwhile, in Washington, momentum is building toward ending the war itself. President Trump's envoy to the Middle East, Steve Quick, told reporters that the White House aims to broker a Russia-Ukraine peace deal by the end of 2025. Quick revealed that Moscow has already sent a peace proposal directly to Trump, signaling Putin's desire to end the conflict. The historic Alaska summit on June the 15th was the first time both leaders openly exchanged detailed positions, raising hopes of light at the end of the tunnel. The hardest issue remains territorial concessions, which Kyiv resists. Still, technical teams from the U.S., Russia, and Ukraine are working on formulas for compromise. Quick even suggested progress could come sooner, perhaps by year's end. Notably, Trump has hinted he may personally negotiate with both Zelensky and Putin, consistent with his hands-on style of diplomacy. But he has also issued sharp warnings. At a June 28th White House cabinet meeting, Trump declared that Washington is prepared to impose sanctions and tariffs on both sides if peace talks stall. As he put it, this won't be World War III, it will be an economic war. And remember, it takes two to tango. Ukraine and President Zelensky are not entirely innocent. This marks a sharp departure from Joe Biden's framing of Ukraine as the pure victim. Trump argued, Biden should never have allowed the conflict to erupt in the first place, saying Kyiv believed it could defeat a vastly superior Russia with Western backing. 3 years of war have left both nations drained. Ukraine dependent on foreign aid, Russia squeezed by sanctions. Against that backdrop, Trump's push for a deal reflects not only his own agenda, but also international pressure, from oil prices, from food markets, and from millions of families who have lost loved ones on the battlefield. Washington's envoy made it clear, peace is no longer optional. The U.S. will pursue it, if necessary, by punishing both friend and foe. Whether those words turn into action is uncertain, but one thing is clear. Setting 2025 as the year to end the war offers a rare glimmer of hope that the bloodshed in Eastern Europe may finally stop.